what is the Realtor Toolbox? And as the SBOD for Synergy, one of the things our value proposition is to create an environment where we share resources, right? Where we learn together. And it is all moving towards this one concept, building businesses that will thrive in any economic environment, right? And so, that has been a concept for us from the very beginning. It's part of our mission, our vision, our values. However, here today, it could not be more important. And so we use this tool, the Realtor Toolbox, as a way to collaborate, a way to teach, learn. However, not just a classroom environment, but this is literally the place to practice so that you can then take this out in your business. So, question for you. How many of you use the duties owed to get hired? Put it in the chat for me here. How many of you use the duties owed to get hired? I know that Cody is. I don't know if Ursula is. I got
Marisa
Tanya.
says always.
Always love it, Marissa. I love that. Love that. The duties owed is a powerful tool. And we are definitely going to be talking about that tool today. However, we're going to do the build. So let me first give you a concept we call the 5 keys of communication. And this is so critical to know as we're going through building these value propositions. So the first one is to create emotional connection to who you're talking to, right? So have you ever walked into a room and you just don't get the vibe, right? You walk in, you don't get a vibe. How do you feel in that room? Means that you probably don't have some type of an emotional connection, right? Fun and excitement is the fastest way to an emotional connection. I don't know. I have just found that people want to buy real estate from people that are excited, buy real estate from people that are smiling and having fun. For most people, I just got to say, I can change your business just if you start smiling more. Get more excited, right, Tanya?
Denise,
Right? That
have you ever not been excited about something before? I don't think I've ever seen you not excited, ever.
Well, it's funny because that's such a great question. The answer is absolutely. And I can choose to change how I'm feeling at any moment. Right. So absolutely, do I get frustrated, all those kind of things. And I just get to choose, what do I want to create? What do I want to attract? And I'm in control of my emotions. So when that happens, Cody, I give myself a time limit. Like you get to be mad for an hour and then you let it go. Right. What's that serenity prayer? How does that go? Anyone know? Who knows the serenity prayer? Accept the things I I cannot change, right? So I love that, Cody. Thank you. I'm glad that that's how you feel about me because that's how I want to, because I give that back. And so in real estate and in this toolbox, we are excited. It is an honor for me to be on the board of directors and have the voice and the opportunity to chat with you about how do you build a business that will thrive in any economic environment. And so we want to expand resources. What got you here won't get you there. The way that you've always done things, you don't want to necessarily throw it out. However, we've got to expand it in ways. And so the last time I did one of these classes, I hadn't yet started negotiating contracts with the new buyer BBRA. And now I have. And I can tell you, I have been never more excited about what is possible for us and our industries. I really think it's a way to reduce risk. And as business owners, that's a critical point of what you're doing. I 100% believe in buyer representation. Without question, Logan, I sit there and think about what risk buyers have if they don't hire representation and if they hire the wrong representation. And I'm here to say, if you are on this call with us right now, if you have carved this time out in your business, it's because you care. And so using these tools to reduce risk and seeing this settlement as an opportunity to take your unfair advantage. This is really building your confidence through your competency and the duties owed and knowing the BBRA and being able to present them in such a way creates that value. If Diana was on, Hernandez is on my team, was on the call, I'm sure she would be okay in me sharing this story. And so yesterday we were doing again another training on the BBRA. And I had a consultation that I was going to be going in with her where we've made a decision that we are no longer going to accept the minimum amount when we're working with renters that the landlord offers. That we're going to build a system that has so much value. We're starting at $1,000 and our goal is to get it to $1,500. However, we got to get hired. And so when we are going through the BBRA and we were talking about these value propositions and we were building it out, she started getting frustrated. She started having thoughts about how can I do it? Not me. This is stupid. Just go to the normal. And she would tell you that. And she made a shift. She made a shift as a result of being prepared, thinking differently without question. They hired her for $1,000. If you were getting $1,000 to show rentals, would that be more valuable? In addition, we did a buyer strategy session. And when they signed the BBRA with us, they signed it as a buyer and for a lease for 1 year. Would that be valuable to anyone on this call? Just let me see your hand, put it in chat. Yes, no. That's crazy, Denise. It can't happen. It absolutely can. And so we're really going to be looking at, as her confidence grew, excuse me, I apologize. Let me say that differently. As her confidence grew, her confidence grew. Abner, what you got to say, friend? I see your hand up. Nope. Okay. And so this is all about. Say it again.
I was just agreeing to what you were saying. I was saying,
yeah, you were in that training, right? Brand new agent.
Denise, Lewis, who's on this call, he's pretty new to Synergy. He has built a very nice business around starting with rental clients and turning them into buyer clients. So I think it'd be really cool to get his, contributions to it, and then you and Diana together, and we could do like a how to really kill it with being a rental agent that turns them into buyer agents using this new BBA requirement. I love that idea.
Yeah, and I reached out to Spencer, just so that you know, to say, hey, I don't want to use this single showing agent agreement. It's terrible, right? I want a flat fee. So we walked through that and we made some changes to BBRA, and we were in the process of drafting one for leasing to get his approval on. He said we can send it over. So Cody, I'd love that collaboration with you. We want to get that off next week. I'm in Salt Lake City for some training right now. I really believe this could be something that would be spectacular for Synergy. And I asked Diana, I said, hey, you won here. Reach out to our Synergy group, share the win. And so, Lewis, I would love to talk to you about what you're doing, because it is a viable business option. And you just have to remember, it could be a short game or a long game. Last year, well, no, it was this year actually. We had a client that came in as a referral from one of my clients. It was a son. They wanted a quote unquote rental. And so through a buyer strategy session that is required if we're going to talk to anyone about leasing, you have to go through a buyer strategy session with us. We turn them into a buyer, because it honestly is an easier process to buy than it is to rent. I don't know if you've noticed that recently, and people just don't know how to do it. So Cody, I think that's a brilliant idea. So this is about getting hired. This is about creating so much value that you exceed the value from what you charge. Cody is the master in the listing. And I've had to challenge my thought just a little bit, Cody, just so you know. Cody is a 6 and 7%, or that's not it anymore, a 3 or 4% listing agent, right? And he gets hired at 4% all the time. How come, Cody?
Yeah, it's 80% of the time. And I am completely indifferent with what they choose. I can say that honestly. But
Okay.
whenever I've done this training, the training that I do for teaching the 4% listing is called add value, earn value. So I show them the value and they decide they want to do that or not. It works really well.
I love that. Add value or earn value. The same is true as a buyer's agent, right? Decide what you're building and build it. There is a need in the marketplace for 1% agents. I'm just not going to be one of them. And I don't want to say how many decades I've been around, but I've been around long enough to be in a market when discount brokers didn't exist. And when they came into the market, everybody said that they were going to be the end of the market, and they are not. And so, how do you use the duties owed? How do you use the BBRA to establish value, right? How do you do that?
As I've been watching you do these trainings, one of the things that I've realized from like an MBA business thinking perspective is that being a buyer's agent prior to these changes was a commodity. And it's really hard to differentiate and sell yourself when you're selling a commodity. But now, thankfully, these brilliant lawyers and the people
Yes.
who negotiated with NAR, they've made it so
Yes.
being a buyer's agent is no longer a commodities business. So that means if you take the time to learn how to be better than the next person, you are gonna kill it in this business. I'm so excited for it.
Well, it's absolutely the truth. And we have said this from the moment that it came out. There's nothing different in my business, except now there's no question about am I being sneaky? Anything? No, everyone's doing BBRAs. It's required. So now it's just about value. Are you shopping at the 99-cent store? Are you shopping at Target? Are you going to Dillard's or are you Nordstrom's? What do you want? And I've done a ton of trainings and they're saying the same thing. And although I think that we needed to hear that in the beginning, it's not what we're going to do moving forward. So we have the first training that I did already in a video. Kay's going to put that in the chat right now so that you can look at and watch that video. Highly recommend when you watch the video, put it at 1.5% and go through it, right? So then I can do a few things a little bit different with this group that are more about how did it work out. So I'm going to use two examples. I'm going to use one example, which is as the listing agent, and I'm going to use one example that is as the buyer's agent. You up for that? You want to see some real life? How did it work out for us? Yes, no. Look, you guys, I need you all to teach a class. I need you all to teach a class. All right, I'm going to do it anyways. So we're going to be the listing agent first and foremost, right? So I highly recommend you stop using showing time immediately. The most critical component will be the relationship that you create with the agent on the other side. If I'm the buyer's agent with the listing agent, if I'm the listing agent with the buyer's agent. I have seen that hands down. And showing time is for a convenience factor. And we have now moved into a relationship business. Every one of the 4 negotiations that I have done have fallen back on the relationship that I created with that listing agent. So I'm the listing agent. In that scenario, I have a buyer's agent that is scheduling an appointment. I have not yet had anyone schedule an appointment with me to see one of our listings unless it was through showing time, that they didn't ask if the seller was willing to pay. And some of us said it way wrong. So we're going to talk about the things you don't say. Is the seller willing to cooperate? Right? What's that the code for? Are they willing to pay the commission? Awesome. So the answer to that is a yes or a no. They are or they are not. And so my standard answer has been this. Hey, put it in writing. You never know what a seller is willing to do until you get it in writing. So bring us your best offer. I do not think that is the time to negotiate. Well, if we offered this and they did that, we don't know any of those things yet. So that piece. Now, if I'm a buyer's agent, when we call, we use this language. I'm going to give it to you specifically, and Kay will put it in the chat. So it's going to be relationship. Hey, buyer's super excited to see this house. I want to build excitement. I want to build enthusiasm with the listing agent. I want them to see me as a different agent. And listen to this. It's very important to the buyer. You should write that down. It's very important to the buyer that the seller be willing to pay the BBRA fee. I'm going to start it right now, because what does the listing agent want? The listing agent wants an offer. And so that is it's really important. How does your seller feel about that? So I'm going to use the one transaction that Tanya just got into. The listing agent says, yep, the seller's up for it, although they only want to pay a total of 5, 2.5 to me and 2.5 to the buyer's agent. They said that straight out. Great, super excited. Again, though, the buyer, it's important to them that they have a seller that's willing to pay the total BBRA fee. I'm just bringing that back to the conversation one more time. Great, let's see the property. Go take a look at the property. So that's how we are setting up appointments. That relationship that I created with Linda right there, I was looking at 2 things. The first thing is to bring Linda into my organization. This has opened up the door to show our craft. This has opened up the door to bring people into your organizations because they're confused. This is an opportunity to talk about synergy. Isn't that awesome, Cody? The smile is starting to come to Cody's face, right? And we're starting to talk to them about, hey, how are you handling it? What kind of training are you getting? And opening a door to invite them to other things that we have going on, right? So that's number 1. Number 2 on it that we're looking for is to create an opportunity for our buyer's BBRA fee to be 100% covered. So when we get into that BBRA, and you're going to see that in session 3, we use language to the buyer that says you never have to buy a house that the seller isn't willing to pay 100% of the BBRA fee. So I'm using that term. You hear me saying it over and over, BBRA fee. I want to reduce risk, stay far away from commission, compensation, concessions, because there's lots of confusions about it. It's the buyer's BBRA fee. Want to know if the seller be willing to pay it. I keep the risk gone. Correct, Cody? Yep. So again, I'm not saying we're right, wrong. If you choose to do something different, feel free to do it. Just realize that you need to be very careful that you are clear on what you are communicating as far as your compensation is concerned. There's more than one way to accomplish that. There's more than one way to say it. It's just the way that we have found that it works. And so then the next piece of it is you have to create more relationship with that listing agent. If you're a buyer's agent, instead of waiting for the listing agent to contact you back, you're immediately contacting them with feedback. Just want to know we left the house, the buyer's like the property, didn't like the property, because these same agents are people that could come into your organization that say, oh my God, oh my goodness, this particular agent is doing more than any other agent. And we start to create relationship, open up opportunities to get into the organization, to get into an organization conversation. The second piece of it is because things change. We showed, let's see, how many properties did we show? We saw 10 online, we showed 6 of them, and we identified 3 that our buyers would want to work with. Cody, we did something pretty creative. You want to hear what it is?
Yes.
So, Cody, can you legally write a contract, an RPA for 3 properties and 1 buyer at the same time?
We're going to put this on the internet.
The answer is no. Let me help you. No, 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 no. Unless that buyer is prepared and able to purchase all 3 of those, all good, right? Does it happen? Yeah. So instead, I've been working with a bunch of agents and we've been talking about solutions, and we've created a letter of intent. So we sent out 3 letters of intent. Kay, can you drop that link into the chat? And we started talking to listing agents about under what terms our buyers wanted to buy it. 100% of the goal for my buyer, one of their biggest fears right now is that they're going to have to pay that 3%, because that's what our fee is. The letter of intent allowed us to get a fair playing field with these 3 sellers on what they would entertain. I have to tell you, 3 listing agents were like, wow, I've never seen anything like that. That's amazing. That's amazing. When we get to the end of it, and there was a lot of other things as a buyer's agent that we did, that if it were not for the NAR settlement, we would not have done. We would have not have looked at how to become a better buyer's agent. Instead, we wanted multiple offers. Seller was in the original offer saying they'd only do 2.5%, and they ended up doing 3%. Because of the relationship that I created with the listing agent, because I needed the listing agent to go to the seller and fight for me. I needed to be able to create a relationship that they thought and saw me as a agent worth 3%. Does that make sense? These will be, and I heard this before when we first got started by someone I don't really even like, and it's more true than I had wanted it to be. But they said the same agents will not get paid the same. Same agents will not get paid the same. So when you come in and you start lowballing offers, when you come in and you start, being rude, when you start behaving unprofessional, when you don't return phone calls and you don't do those things, and then you write offers, watch what that listing agent is going to do when they present those offers. And so we, in the chat, okay, I'm not seeing the LOI. Oh, there it is. Nope, I'm not seeing the LOI. I want to open up that LOI. The other thing is in your cover letters. And so you have to be able to sell your value to get hired. And then you have to sell your value to the seller to get paid.
Denise, can I ask you a little bit about this? Because maybe you said this and I
Sure.
missed it, but are you doing the LOI so that the listing agents to understand clearly that how much the seller is contributing to the BBRA fee will make a determination on which direction the buyers will ultimately go?
Yes. Without a binding contract, because I can only do that one on, right?
Yeah.
And in these, we say real estate's magic, not just magic, it's math. And the math is stronger than it's ever been before.
Yeah, I love this. So what I used to do when it was just something really similar to this is I would put in like language that was similar to the multiple counteroffer. I would put this multiple offer language into the additional section of the RPA. And it sounds like you're doing it for the same reason as I was doing it. So that's awesome.
Yep. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you real quick so we can run through it because strategically, again, once again, you already have the video of how I did the first one. This is just more of a chance to talk about the value proposition with the agent as well. And so I sent the link to you so you could have it for yourself. And now I'm going to open it up. So keep this in mind. We've went out, we've shown property. We are selling property. We're not showing property. We showed 30 online. We want to get 30 properties in front of people. 10 of them we go to see. So we're going to see 7 to 10. Out of those 7 to 10, we're going to find 3 that they can say, yes, I'd like to see that. I'd like to live in that house. I can see where this could be a deal I'd want to consider. So now it's the math. So here's the LOI that we put together. And this language is right here. This letter of intent is submitted to buyer purchase residential property APN. The purpose of this LOI is to outline the basic terms and conditions under which a buyer would be willing to proceed with the purchase of the property. Here, purchase price, right here is the big ticket item, buyer's representative compensation. Appraisal contingency, loan contingencies, due diligence, close of escrow, contributions towards closing costs, earnest money, and other terms. So because this is an LOI, we sent it out to 3 different sellers to see which ones. One of them came back at 2.25. Like that's all they were willing to do. So again, this gives my buyer strategy to go after, and we get to see the math in advance. And again, the big part of this was it was something completely different. And without question, the listing agents were like, wow, can I do? Coming back to our conversation. And then I want to show you how important your cover letters are. How many of you use a cover letter on your offers? If you don't, critical component that you do now. Critical component. So use Chat GPT. I went into Chat GPT, trained a bot. So I use Chat GPT a ton. I train it. We have one bot that is our cover letters. I put in the listing agent's information. I told them a little bit about the deal, and they crafted this letter for me in less than 10 seconds. The listing agent thanked me for this letter. This listing agent was amazing. However, what I didn't know is that the listing agent was dealing with cancer with her husband that day. And so the more value I'm creating with the listing agent, even though she told me they would only pay 2.5%, they ultimately paid the 3%. And these are the 3 tools that we use: the way we set the appointment and communicated with them up to the offer. Look, I don't know which one it's going to be. Fun, excitement, your value presented to that agent. Number 2, then we did the LOI. Look, there's a couple of properties that the buyer's interested in. And like I told you earlier, it's important to them that the BBRA fee is covered. And so they want to see which sellers would be able to help them. You hear like I'm not being cocky about it. I need that listing agent to go to bat for me. If you are rude to them, Cody, what are they going to do with the seller?
They're not going to carry your torch for you.
And that's it. I mean, back in the day, and we'll ask more and more, especially for inexperienced agents, can we present in person with you, establish value, those type of things? This just shows your professionalism. And that is going to be the defining difference. And we are happy to give you copies of what we are doing for you to use as templates. But I wanted to take a few minutes here because we have a video already on the value that you have to create to get hired with that 3-part series. And in the 4 transactions I've negotiated, the value that I've created with the listing agent was the difference. Now, as a listing agent, I had a low ball offer come in. They wanted a 3% commission, and they wanted to hit the sales price by $10,000. And so again, I need to advocate with the buyer's agent. And this is going to create so many opportunities for you in recruiting, building your organization. And so in that we were chatting, tell me, what is it about your buyer? What does this look like? Because my seller has a number that they have to hit, and we can structure it lots of different ways. Would you be willing to, instead of taking 3%, take 2 3/4 and then get the buyer to come up 5,000 so we can make a win-win situation? Or you can be just a jerk and send back counters and, throw your weight around, which we had one of them do. And he ultimately, we submitted a LOI. No, we actually submitted an offer on that one for $10,000 and list price and a 3%. He countered back at 2 3/4 and only 1%. The math doesn't work for the buyer. So we ultimately are ready to walk away. When we walk away, the next day they're calling us back. Okay, well, we'll give you 2.5 and then we'll do 6,500. So it's a lot more of this partnership. And the agent was amazing. He was just working with a very difficult seller. And so you will listen to this. You will collect that which you negotiate. If you are not willing to negotiate for yourself and your family right now, you may not make it in real estate. And so let me give you 5 components to negotiation, then I'm done. And anything you want to add to it, Cody, I'd love for you to talk about the things that you do. So the first thing with negotiation is be kind. Just be nice. No reason to be. Oh, I bet I'm not supposed to say that. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Great. Now I have to edit this part. Let's see. We're at minute what right now?
I'll say it again so then you can leave this. Be nice to people, right? That's the first component. The next component is cut your words in half, right? Just cut your words in half. The third one is slow down the process. Fourth one is never give your real number. You notice I keep saying that 3% is really important to the buyer. I already have my buyer set that they're going to have to come up with 0.5% because in the consultation, we're telling them that that is our fee, right? Even in the leasing BBRA yesterday, the buyer said, well, if I find my own, do I have to pay the BBRA fee? And the answer was yes, because they just entered into an exclusive agreement with us. The next one is don't be afraid to walk away. So it will be important that you set consumers up with it's math. And just because we fall in love with a house doesn't mean the math is always going to work. And so we want to set this up in advance. So in the negotiations, you've got to be willing to walk away in a very professional manner. However, it can't be walking away because you didn't get paid. It has to be walking away because it wasn't in the buyer's financial best interest. Now, it doesn't change that we're unable to not have our commission take precedence over the buyer's needs. You got to tie these two things together that says the buyer's financial needs, we call them acquisition costs. Their acquisition cost is this amount, and the math didn't just work out. And so, and then be brave. You're smarter than you think you are. Reach out for support. This BBRA for me, just like Cody was talking about, is a huge opportunity to take your unfair advantage. And so the first part of this was about your value to the getting hired. And we have a video on this. The second part is we've never had it before. The second part is you got paid what you got paid. And I could not negotiate, right? And now that's all off of the table. I get to negotiate. So you get to eat that which you hunt. So Tanya, what are your thoughts on it? You're now going through the BBRAs. Give us just a 1 minute on what you're experiencing right now.
Hello, everyone. I am experiencing an opportunity to really bring my value proposition and just show what I'm worth and just negotiate and have open communication and just stay in relationship with the listing agent. So I'm just learning that it's very important to make sure that I'm reaching out to the listing agent, listening to my clients. And like Denise said, you have to negotiate and you basically eat, what you catch. So I'm learning, soaking it all in, and it's an amazing opportunity for us. It's nothing for us to be afraid of. We just have to sell ourselves and our value, and we're in it to win it.
I love it. Thank you for that, Tanya. So the first part is getting hired, and the second part is getting paid. Cody, that's what I got for us.
I think it was great. Thank you. Make sure everybody, I've actually been working on and we'll have uploaded here very shortly, session 3 of 3. This was sort of like a refresher of 1, which we will also put out there as a refresher of 1. So you can watch session 1, 2, 3, and then a replay of this session too. And I can tell you, I'm going to be watching it. So
Yeah.
I really encourage you to do the same.
And share where you're winning. Get into our WhatsApp group. We're going to win together. We're going to make some mistakes. Let's learn from each other. What are you doing to make sure that you win on the second half of it? Peace out, everyone. Bye.